Coming to you not actually live from quarantine. Welcome back to Gaymer Girl News. I'm Riley Rose, and how are we all doing today? The world is still on fire, but we still have our video games, so let's jump into some video game news, shall we? First, I want to talk a little bit about The Last of Us 2 leak that I reported on last week. Because there was such high-level data that was leaked, many news outlets, just like this one here, reported that it could potentially be a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee. However, last week Sony came out and said they identified the hackers and they had nothing to do with Naughty Dog. They had used a security vulnerability in a patch for an older game that was living on Amazon servers. So basically a group of hackers actually managed to get into Amazon servers and took 1 terabyte of data from The Last of Us 2. Naughty Dog did become aware of the hack in February, but it took until April 30th to make the server secure again. That gave this group lots of time to get everything that they needed. You know, we've seen similar leaks like this in Endgame, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, even Pokemon Sword and Shield had massive leaks revealing Gigantamaxing and legendary final Pokemon. You know, because it doesn't seem to be a Naughty Dog developer, eyes are starting to turn to these disgruntled fans. The narrative is starting to become that, fans who are unhappy with the way that these types of series are going decide to leak major spoilers so they can ruin the experience for everybody. It's really lame. All I really hope is that you guys have steered clear of the spoilers like I have, and we can all enjoy the game for the first time on June 19th. Unfortunately, in Nintendo news this week, it seems like there'll be no June Nintendo Direct for the first time since 2013. Clearly this is due to too many complications brought about from Japan's work-at-home order due to the coronavirus epidemic, but it really is a huge bummer. Nintendo was putting together a really cool event. The company reportedly had a huge plan to unveil its first-party schedule for the rest of 2020. And if that wasn't a big enough bummer, we were probably also going to learn more about this Mario 35th anniversary event, celebrating the Italian plumber's legacy by releasing some classic 3D games on the Nintendo Switch. While Nintendo is already planning on moving this event to later this year, some companies are taking a different approach. EA is moving ahead with E3 adjacent EA Play Live 2020. E3 itself is canceled, but EA is going to do the live stream anyways at 4 p.m. Pacific time on June 11th. Apparently, the live stream has really important information about world premieres and other news about their various titles, so we'll see what they have to say. Big news this week is, guys, please be careful on Facebook, especially when you're talking about Animal Crossing weeds. That's right, Facebook might be owned by humans like this guy, but it's run by machines also like this guy, and apparently these computers can't differentiate between Animal Crossing weed and, the type of weed that we take to stay calm during quarantine. In fact, a ton of Animal Crossing groups got warnings saying that group members using the word weed was violating Facebook community standards. Many of these groups had to post really silly notices similar to this one you guys see here, urging members to use creative words other than the word weed. I don't know what you guys are calling it. I like to call them green growing flowers, but saying it out loud actually sounds way more like weed. I do want to mention real quick, how messed up is the Facebook bots and algorithms that this even happens at all, but that's a conversation for another time. Let's move on to some positive news this week. There's a really sweet story coming out of Fallout 76. Brent CJ Martin Fairchild is a big fan of the game who spends his time in-game role-playing as a doctor, offering aid to any players who may need it. He's become super duper well known in the community, and not just for his in-game generosity, but his dedication to the role as a medical professional. He's created an entire in-game clinic where players coordinate to produce thousands of the game's healing stim packs a day. But he ran into some hard times when his real-life home caught fire over the weekend. Role-playing fans of the game spread the word of what happened to Fairchild and his family, and they ended up creating a GoFundMe that raised over $6,000 for help with medical and home repair bills. Some players even taking to posting doc signs outside of their in-game campsites like in this clip here. Dr. Fairchild responded to his community and said he was so thankful for each and every person. He assured everybody that he'll be back to healing in no time, and we seriously hope so, and we hope that they have a speedy recovery both medically and further home. But guys, in not so heartwarming news, a 9-year-old boy cried during a live stream in his father's arms after being banned from competitive Fortnite play for 4 years. Now, before we're all like, oh my god, what, and get all up in arms, let's dive a little bit more into why this happened. Xenon is an excellent competitive Fortnite player who has won multiple paid tournaments. In fact, actually this week, Xenon entered and placed in a round of FNC Solo Open qualifiers. The prize money for this global competition reaches into the millions. I'm sure you're wondering, so what's the problem? He's a kid who's really good at Fortnite, who's making some money, and that actually is the problem, is that he's too young of a kid. The 9-year-old received this 4-year competitive ban from Epic after the company found out that he was under the game's minimum age limit of 13. Some people agree with this choice from Epic, but a bunch of prominent Fortnite and esports players actually have called for Epic to lift the ban and let the kid play. Check out the heartbreaking moment where he found out that he was banned. Like, oh, I laugh a little bit because he's so cute, but he's so sad. Epic specifically chose this 4-year ban because it lifts the day that he turns 13 years old. And he's still allowed to play in Fortnite casual modes. I'm not a Fortnite player, I don't play competitively, so it's hard for me to say what the right move is here. But I actually believe that the only correct plan of action is to get Fred Savage on the phone to create a sequel to the 1989 film, The Wizard. Somebody's gotta break this kid out of video game jail, and it's not gonna be me. Guys, now it's time for another Riley Rose review. This week, we're still talking about a super duper gay game, just like last week, but this one is really, really good. Your Royal Gayness is a story-driven fairy tale parody game where you play as Prince Amir, a closeted prince who's attempting to run the kingdom and meet some men before his parents return from their 60-day trip. Players have to make a series of challenging choices and come up with funny and absurd excuses to avoid marriage. The game was developed by Lizard Hazard Games, and honestly, it's a slam dunk for representation. The way that Prince Amir talks to his closest allies about his fears of being outed is so real. There's a fun side story with a princess who comes out to you as a lesbian. She actually suggests that you can be beards and just live freely on the side, and you can choose to do this if you want and just ignore dating the rest of the game, but if you don't, you actually both continue to try to make the kingdom a safer place for gay citizens. I had so much fun playing this game, and it's after that 60-day period that you actually speak to your parents and check in about how you did with the kingdom, and you can even potentially come out to your parents or maybe even your entire kingdom and see how they react. Because this game has lots of option gameplay styles and ends after only 60 days, it's also a game that you can play over and over again and get multiple different endings. It's so much better than the game we reviewed last week, and definitely is a game that I would like to play over and over again. Prince Amir and your Royal Gayness get a 5 out of 5 petals from us today. And before we wrap it up, let's talk about some video game trivia. Depending on how much you love Sonic the Hedgehog, you may love this next video game fact. It actually turns out that Sonic the Hedgehog is inside all of us, and no, I don't just mean in our hearts. A gene and protein that separates your right brain from your left brain determines that you have 2 eyes is actually called Sonic Hedgehog. That's right, we only see and act like we do because of that blue speedy guy. The name wasn't inspired directly by the game, but actually a British postdoc named Robert Riddle drew inspiration from a Sonic comic that his 6-year-old daughter was reading. You may be wondering, why would he get inspiration for this gene from Sonic the Hedgehog? It's pretty simple. The gene has a spiky appearance. That's all. So thank you, Sonic, for helping us see and think. I never thought that I'd be saying that. That's all we have for today. Kids are being banned from communities, other communities are coming together, and Tom Nook is pushing way too many bells, but we'll talk about that next week. Let me know what you guys thought about today's episodes in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all of that fun stuff. I'm Riley Rose, and I am signing out.